if the AIs had a favorite scripture, I think it'd be Titus chapter 3, verses 8 and 9. It reads like this. This is a trustworthy saying, and I want you to stress these things so that those who have trusted in God may be careful to devote themselves to doing what is good. These things are excellent and profitable for everyone. Verse 9, but avoid foolish controversies and genealogies and arguments and quarrels about the law, because these are unprofitable and useless. So how do you discern between a true teacher and a charlatan? One who's really trying to lead you to something that's right versus someone who's trying to lead you astray, who's trying to deceive you, who's trying to lead you off the path, who has their own slimy agenda that they're trying to get across. How do you tell the difference? The good teachings, the real teachings, the true teachers, they teach you things that help you make your life better, that usually result in action, things that you can apply. The advice that they give is very applicable versus controversies and theories. But theories put into practice, they still fit under the trustworthy part because that's dealing with action again. That's dealing with applicability, application. So there's no problem there when you're dealing with theories if those theories are being practiced out and worked out. But you know the kind of stuff that leads you nowhere. They said genealogy. So, you hear all this talk about ancestors, and you don't want to put too much stock into that, because regardless of who your grandmother was and who your great grandfather was, you still got a decision to make. You still have your own free will. You still have to get up and be somebody. It doesn't matter what bloodline you came out of. You still have a responsibility. You still have free will. So you don't want to get caught up in who you're connected to. It's good to know your history and where you come from, but that shouldn't be where it stops. You don't want to fall for these teachers that'll put you in a loop where there's nothing but finding out who your ancestors were and what they did and where they came from, stretching all the way out into the star systems. You don't want to get so caught up in that you're forgetting to live. Because what you're going to be doing is just exploring. And how do you know that some of these channelers aren't just making stuff up? They could just be coming up with all kind of craziness. So don't get tangled up in that and all of the arguments and quarrels about the law, these discrepancies. Don't get caught up in all of that. If you see a discrepancy, cool, point it out. But you don't want to dedicate your whole thing, your whole life, your whole purpose to being a nitpicker. And a lot of people who are using the title of teacher, they're nitpicking. And they're more so searching for a way to gain some kind of conspiratorial advantage over other content creators by just coming up with wild madness. A lot of it is wild madness. And even if it's not, how can you prove it? But what you can prove is things that a person can do, try, apply. Because if they come to you and say you didn't prove it, you can always say, well, you didn't apply it. That's the difference between a teacher and a charlatan.